Today, we're going to learn how to create heaven on earth from Don Miguel Ruiz. Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Ambitious Women Over 40. That's you and me, babe. Where we elevate our mindset and exchange hangovers for higher consciousness, one powerful snippet at a time. I'm Becca Jacobson, and this is what we call a snippet. Welcome to Snippet Land. If you're new here, my dear, welcome home, welcome home. We've kept the home fires burning just for you. I'm so glad you made it. So listen, earlier on this month and even back into November, we did a somewhat disjointed study of Don Miguel Ruiz's amazing little book, The Four Agreements. Not super disjointed. We looked at a chapter every Monday. And then we skipped one Monday and continued. But that's good. That's all good. We got through the four agreements. We looked at the introduction. And today I have saved for us, for the end of the month, chapter 7, called The New Dream, Heaven on Earth. And I saved this because, gals, today is Monday, the 29th of December. That means we have today and Wednesday together in 2025, and it's all over, babe. The end of another year in Snippet Land. And I want you to go out of 2025 as motivated and inspired as humanly possible. What could be better than learning from someone like Don Miguel Ruiz how to create heaven on earth? What could be better? And so we're going to look today at that chapter, which is all about love and imagination. Stay with me. This is really beautiful what he explains. He gives us 7 ways to use our imagination to create heaven on earth through the love that is inherent in all of our beings. Sounds pretty heavy, right? But remember, this is a snippet. We will get there. But before we start, just briefly, what to expect on Wednesday. Wednesday, we're actually following up to today and talking about how to take what we learned today and wrap up or bundle up or put a nice bow on 2025 and then launch ourselves into the new year on Friday. So it's a beautiful week here in Snippet Land. Stay tuned, stay with me, babe, and we can do this. So heaven on earth. Ruiz opens this chapter by saying, I want you to forget everything you have learned in your whole life. Now, hello, that's not even possible, is it? I want you to forget everything you have ever learned in your whole life. He doesn't mean it literally, and neither do I. But to be honest, gals, that's what we're doing here in Snippet Land. We're reframing the way we look at our lives from the past and our lives in the future, our lives today. When we shift our mindset, it's not much different from unlearning everything we've learned. When we look at things differently, we've learned something new, which means we've released old learnings. It's the same thing. So when he says, I want you to forget everything you've learned in your whole life, I think that's what he means. Because obviously we can't give ourselves amnesia, can we? So that's what this chapter is about, forgetting what we've learned so we can build something new. In fact, the whole book has been about that, hasn't it? These 4 agreements that we've learned together. We've learned how to be impeccable with our word. We've learned not to take anything personally. We've learned that we shouldn't be making assumptions, and we've learned to always do our best. Those are the 4 agreements. Now, we put it all together and create heaven on earth through love and imagination. Ruiz poses a challenge, gals. Here's what he says at the top of page 124. Why not use your mind, your imagination, and your emotions to dream heaven? Gals, the truth of the matter is that we do dream our lives. If we put the word dream in quotation marks, we create our lives by filtering it through our perception of things. You and I can experience the same thing and not have the same experience. For example, your opinion and experience of your mother-in-law is not the same as your partner's. We don't experience things the same as other people. We have our own particular perspective on life. And so Ruiz challenges us and he says, well, why not use your mind, your imagination, and your emotions to dream heaven? So if your life isn't heaven, he's saying it can be by just changing the way you think about things, which is really what Snippet Land's about. That's what I mean when I say we exchange hangovers for higher consciousness. Higher consciousness is emotional maturity. That's what it is. Okay, let's get to it here. Ruiz gives us 7 ways to use our imagination in order to express love in our lives. And let's face it, when you're expressing love, you are happy. You are one happy camper. Here's what he says. Even when humans are sad or angry, behind these feelings, you can see that they are also sending love. Before Ruiz explains the 7 ways we can use our imagination, he's very careful to explain that we are, at our core, love. And so these are ways of allowing that love to express itself. Here we go. Number 1, imagine that you have permission to be happy and to really enjoy your life. Remember, we're doing 7 ways to use your imagination according to Don Miguel Ruiz. Well, I love this. Number 1, just imagine that you have permission to be happy and to really enjoy your life. Let's pause for a moment and talk about the significance of imagination. Gals, our imaginations create our lives. As we lie in bed and think about the day, the way we think of it is creating our emotions in that moment. The way we think about yesterday, the way we imagine tomorrow is creating our current emotions and therefore our lives. So if instead of imagining the worst, which is what we tend to do, we worry, we regret, we dread, we're anxious, we're depressed, all of those things are just imagining the worst. We take that same power of imagination and decide, well, I have permission to be happy and enjoy my life. That's number 1. Nobody ever said you weren't allowed to be happy, but somehow we think that we can't be happy until certain things are lined up in our lives, but that's just not true. You have permission to be happy and enjoy your life. Just imagine that. You can pull out your journal and imagine that you have permission to be happy in this moment and you don't have to wait for anything. Your life is free of conflict with yourself and with others. That is a direct quote from Don Miguel Ruiz. Number 2, imagine living your life without fear of expressing your dreams. Right? Imagine living your life without fear of expressing your dreams. We hold ourselves back. We got to be realistic. What do we expect? Don't expect too much. What if we didn't have those fears and instead lived our lives without a fear of expressing our dreams? He further elaborates on this by saying, you know what you want, what you don't want, and when you want it. You are free to change your life the way you really want to. You are not afraid to ask for what you need, to say yes or no to anyone or anything. Number 3, imagine living your life without the fear of being judged by others. Whether we admit it or not, we are concerned about what others think about us. But if we can learn to put that aside, recognize it when it happens, and allow ourselves to just express who we are without that fear of judgment, we are free. Ruiz says, you no longer rule your behavior according to what others might think about you. You are no longer responsible for anyone's opinion. This is freedom. These are hardcore freedoms, gals. Number 4, imagine living your life without judging others. We got to flip number 3 on its head, turn over that coin, and we have imagine living your life without judging others. Imagine easily forgiving others and letting go of judgment. Wow, right? That's a big ask, but it's totally doable if we are intentional about the way we want to move forward in our lives. Number 5, imagine living without the fear of loving and not being loved. In other words, you're no longer afraid of being rejected. You don't need to be accepted. You can say, I love you with no shame or justification. Imagine that. Wouldn't that be amazing? To live life without fear of rejection and with the courage to love. Number 6, imagine living your life without being afraid to take a risk or to explore life, where you are not afraid to lose anything. You're not afraid to be alive in the world, and you're not afraid to die. This guy is going hardcore, gals. Honestly, not afraid to die, not afraid to love, not afraid to live in the world. Is that even possible? Well, stay tuned because we're getting to that in one moment here. And finally, number 7, imagine that you love yourself just the way you are, right? You love your body just the way it is, and you love your emotions just the way they are. You know that you are perfect just the way you are. Gals, these 7 imagines, these 7 possibilities are completely transformational, but each and every one of them would take intention and desire. If we want to live this life, we would have to set these down on paper, look at them, and I would recommend tackling one at a time. Well, there's a couple of them that go together, like not judging others and not judging ourselves. But these are fundamental changes that can create that heaven on earth, according to Ruiz. Now, he ends the list by saying this: the reason I ask you to imagine these things is because they are all entirely possible. It was important for us to read that because they sound really like impossible almost. How do you do that? How do you live life not afraid to be alive and not afraid to die? Well, Ruiz says they are entirely possible. And here's how he explains it. You can live in a state of grace. Others have done it, and so can you. How do we do it? That's where he pulls out the big L word. He encourages us and reminds us that it's love that will help us to accomplish these 7 beautiful ways of living our lives. Ruiz ends the chapter with high motivation, gals. I'm going to read this verbatim. Quote, "This way of life is possible, and it's in your hands. Moses called it the promised land. Buddha called it nirvana. Jesus called it heaven, and the Toltecs call it a new dream. Unfortunately, your identity is mixed with the dream of the planet. All of your beliefs and agreements are there in the fog. But there is no reason to suffer. The only reason you suffer is because you choose to suffer. If you look at your life, you will find many excuses to suffer, but a good reason to suffer you will not find. The same is true for happiness. The only reason you are happy is because you choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice, and so is suffering." Wow. Happiness is a choice, and so is suffering. Gals, this was a very, very meaty chapter. In fact, this tiny, thin little book is very meaty in itself. We could spend a year on each agreement. We could spend the rest of our lives practicing those 7 ways of imagining ourselves. But gals, don't get overwhelmed. Nobody's expecting us to do all of this. Because I'm such an intense proponent of not surface dwelling, I would recommend choose one thing you've heard today to focus on, and then focus on it for a while. Just let the other ones sit there in your journal. Choose one thing that you think, that I'd like to practice that more. Practicing that one there, over there, that would really change my life for the better. Maybe it's about judging others. Maybe it's allowing happiness into your life. Choose the one that resonates with you and just be gentle with yourself. We're growing, and we grow slowly, and we grow intentionally, and we don't try to do everything at once. Gals, on Wednesday, the 31st of December, I'm going to turn what we've learned today into a plan for 2026 so that you can take action without feeling overwhelmed. For now, just absorb some of these ideas, allow them to land in your heart. Remember that you are, at your core, love. And all the rest of it, the negative emotions that we experience, are just a veneer on top of that love. You are a walking ball of love, baby. And that love will flow like water once you open the heart and let it out. A quick announcement for you regarding our schedule in the new year. Starting January 1st, which is this week, we are doing the snippets Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays only. So in case you aren't aware, right now, we've been doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and we are no longer doing a Saturday snippet starting this week. Why? Why this decision? Well, I'll tell you a couple of reasons. First of all, the Saturday segment was what we called Sanctuary Saturday, and in it, I'd focus on the first year of sobriety. But the truth is, gals, I'm always talking about the first months of sobriety, the first year of sobriety. We are always talking about that. We don't spend a lot of time here talking about the first day or the day before. So we're covered. So we're opening up the space. And instead of Saturdays, we're going to have juicier Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you will get 3 snippets a week to keep you going through 2026. And don't forget, if you're ready to quit drinking in 2026, then you're going to want to do it with me and a whole bunch of other gals just like you in Juicy January. The 2nd annual legendary Juicy January starts January 1st. That's Thursday. You can sign up using the link in the show notes, and if you don't know where the show notes are, no problem. Shoot me an email at Becca@beccajacobson.com and just let me know you want to come. We'll get you signed up. Remember, we don't do dry January in Snippet Land. Here, we get juicy. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.